The monster's eye opened, revealing its identity as a Dirus Int. Ghislain quickly noticed that numerous Dirus Ints were encircling the group. Panic spread among the mercenaries as they attempted to flee, convinced they were about to be eaten. The Dirus Ints extended their vines, capturing several mercenaries and dragging them into their gaping mouths. Gordon, clinging desperately to a nearby tree, screamed for help. One of the men approached him with an axe, urging him to hold on. Swinging the axe at the vine, the man was stunned to see it remain unharmed while his weapon began to crack. As he stared in disbelief, the monster pulled Gordon further upward. Before Gordon could be consumed, Ghislain leapt into action. Infusing his sword with mana, he sliced through the vine and simultaneously landed a blow on the creature's eye as he descended. Blood gushed from the monster's wounded eye, and the mercenaries, astonished by their employer's feat, began to assume that the Dirus Int's eyes were their weak points. Ghislain took a deep breath and shouted for the men to regroup. His commanding voice cut through their panic as he warned them that spreading out would only make them easier targets. He ordered them to form a tight shield formation and focus solely on defense until further instructions were given. The mercenaries, galvanized by his leadership, complied quickly, one of them vowing not to die in such a place. Ghislain rushed to the carriage and asked Kair about the oil lamps. Kair affirmed their presence, and Ghislain instructed him to light them and hurl them at the monsters to burn them down. Realization dawned on Kair. This was why so many lamps had been brought. Just as he began the task, a teammate warned that the monsters were watching them. Ghislain ordered the lamps to be thrown immediately. Kair and his team began tossing the lamps, but the Dirus Ints swatted them away with their vines before they could connect. Shocked by their inability to harm the monsters, Kair's subordinate noted that their strategy wasn't working. A Dirus Int fired its vines at the group, but Ghislain intercepted them, cleaving the vines with his axe. Belinda, armed with knives, aimed for the creature's eyes, successfully hitting her targets. Ghislain instructed Ghislain and Belinda to prepare for a coordinated assault while protecting the Cerberus mercenaries. Raising his sword, he declared that he would draw the monster's attention. Almost immediately, a Dirus Int launched its vines at him. Belinda called out, urging him to be careful. Ghislain swung his sword, cutting through the vines, only to be targeted by additional attacks. Displaying remarkable agility, he dodged their strikes. One of the Dirus Ints raised a massive leg, preparing to crush him. The mercenaries were stunned to see that the monsters, despite resembling trees, had legs. Many believed that their employer was about to be crushed. Ghislain, undeterred, infused his sword with mana and struck at the leg of a Dirus Int, severing it. Using the momentum of his leap, he drove his sword directly into the creature's eye. The remaining Dirus Ints immediately shifted their attention to him, their movements drawing gasps of shock from the onlookers. Belinda, maintaining her composure, ordered the Cerberus mercenaries to throw the oil lamps. Certain that this tactic would succeed, the mercenaries acted swiftly. The lamps shattered against the Dirus Ints, setting them ablaze and eliciting ear-piercing shrieks of pain. The Cerberus mercenaries cheered at the sight of their effectiveness, but Ghislain quickly urged them to continue throwing the lamps until every Dirus Int was consumed by fire. Flames began to engulf the monstrous creatures, spreading rapidly across their bodies. The mercenaries, still processing the scene, expressed both relief and disbelief that they were holding their own against such formidable foes. One remarked nervously that the entire forest might catch fire at this rate. Gordon, trying to mask his unease, dismissed the Dirus Ints as being naturally weak to fire due to their tree-like nature. However, Ghislain's sharp command brought their focus back. He warned them not to let their guard down, emphasizing that the fight was far from over. The mercenaries were startled by his tone, realizing there was more to the battle. Ghislain gravely informed the group that the Dirus Ints were about to reveal their true forms. As if on cue, the creatures released a dense cloud of steam, enveloping the battlefield. The mercenaries exchanged confused glances, speculating whether the fire had already been extinguished. Belinda and Ghislain rushed to Ghislain, seeking an explanation. He calmly clarified that while the monster's outer shells were vulnerable to fire, their inner structures were drastically different. The fire burning their shells had reached their moist, fleshy cores, causing the steam to form. When the steam dissipated, The mercenaries were horrified to witness the direst Int's true forms. The creatures emitted guttural screams, their grotesque appearances more fearsome than before. Disbelief rippled through the group as they struggled to accept that the monsters were still alive. Raising his sword high, Ghislain called for the troops' attention. He ordered them to ready their weapons, declaring that the fight would now transition to close-quarters combat. With a determined battle cry, he led the charge, launching himself toward the direst Ints and setting the example for the others to follow.
So, friends, this chapter comes to an end. What will happen next? We'll uncover it in the next chapter. Don't forget to rate this chapter out of 10 in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.